Hello and welcome in to another episode of Sorare Rabbit Hunting, brought to you by SorareData. I'm Andrew Laird. You can find me as Lairdinho on Sorare. Today, to talk about my lineups from last weekend, Gameweek 345, one of which was really good. And I think I had a legitimate 1v1 decision that I'll go into briefly that may have made me win the whole thing. And I had a few other really good cards that did well, and I didn't put them all in the right spots, or at least in what would have been the right spots. And I think I got really close to winning All-Star Rare Pro just based on like where I think the cards would have ended up. So we're going to go through that. I actually have not looked ahead. That's something that I've done in the previous shows. I haven't looked ahead. Or excuse me, I haven't looked at where I would have finished ahead of time. So this is going to be like all completely raw emotion today, which is really what everybody comes here for. And so we're going to do that, and we're going to see what happens. Thank you to a few of you who are here live. Appreciate you guys joining me. Also, my apologies for the internet connection last week. I realized that I know we started off kind of on the wrong foot, and then it really didn't improve for the first few minutes. Hopefully it's perfectly fine this week. It's one of those things that like when you never have a problem and then the problem comes up and you're just like, oh, whoops. So hopefully we're fine today. Appreciate everybody who did watch and like plowed through it. I think it was only about 3 minutes at the beginning, and then the rest was okay, maybe a little more. But again, apologies for that. But also I had nothing to do with it and didn't really fix it myself. So we'll see. Anyway, we are here. It is now 12:30 Eastern time on Friday. And I am waiting for this current game week to close because I actually had a decent lineup for the midweek, which is kind of fun. I finished 28th in All-Star Rare Pro, thanks to the sporting clean sheet that always seems to evade my lineups here. And somehow they came through. I think a little bit is because Chani is a recent Adon card owner, and he was like, man, they just never keep clean sheets. And he and I went through this whole thing with Marseille a few months ago, last year sometime. I don't even remember. But they were terrible. Shout out Quinny. And so he's like, Adon's now, he's not going to get it. But they got the clean sheet. I got a Coates goal. Julian Quinones played the night before. Not a great score, this 45, but the super rare got it to 58. So I had Adon clean sheet like locked up. They were up a man. Coates had his goal. That clean sheet was going to happen. Then Yari gets a goal. And I'm like, I might win this whole thing. I've got Captain Dusan Tadic left. Not like a easy matchup for Tadic by any means. In fact, it was a downright difficult one. And Ajax just got waxed. And Tadic ended on 50, which seems pretty good. 6 attempted assists, which is pretty good. No big chances created, though. So maybe I'll blame him for not giving the perfect chance for them to finish. And of course, the two guys who started up front with him, Kudus and Bergwijn, were the ones who got on the score sheet. But anyway, so that was the midweek stuff. But I'm not really here to talk about midweek, other than I would really like Sorare to close this game week so that I know that I can get this tier 1. I'm 1.19 points away from falling into the tier 2 category. And like, I just don't win that many tier 1 rares anymore. And let's see. Yeah, tier 2s. This one was game week 322. What are we in? 347. 347 was last, or 348 was this midweek. And then 2s, underdog rare in 310. Leonardo Borean, which like, yay. I think I sold him almost immediately. James Pantemis, I won for a podium in Specialist Limited, which I don't know if I can really count that as like, I mean, obviously it's a tier 1 rare reward, but I didn't win. I didn't use it my rare cards to get there. And then I remember I won Notsuda, who I sold because I was like, wow, this guy is great, but I didn't really need it at the time. And it feels really stupid now to have sold it. But we move on. Anyway, so a new feature for those of you who are unaware, you can now hide your common cards on SorareData. There was a tweet, if you just go to Twitter, SorareData's latest tweet, I think, is about it. But basically, we're in this weird spot, SorareData is, that there are a lot of users who really care about their common cards, like a lot of them. If you notice, there are like 130,000 people who play common card competitions. And there are a lot of people who can't stand them, people who've been on the platform for a long time and have accumulated a ton, or they just have galleries big enough where they don't ever want to know anything about their common cards. And so we developed a system that hopefully satisfies everyone in that you can now hide your common cards if you want. So if you just go to your gallery name, settings and membership, and then if you scroll down right here, it says hide common draft cards, hide ineligible ones, and you can just select it and you will not see your commons anymore. Simple as that. So everyone, like, we know this is something that a lot of people have been asking for. They always kind of react like it's something very easy to do and that we have nothing else to work on. And while one of those things may be correct, the other one is not. And so you have it now. So there it is. Anyway, let's get back to why we're here, to experience the pain of what happens if you have the right cards, but you put them in the wrong places. So the only reason why I didn't look ahead, or the reason why I didn't like see what my best cards would have been ahead of time, is because I knew I was going to be close. Like there was going to be something here that it was like, man, I might have actually been able to win. And it's this all-star limited lineup that I had from last weekend. Now, with the announcement that they were going to give the ETH rewards to the top 300 spots in all-star limited, I was like, all right, I'll go for that. Like I'll put my best lineup in there. And I kind of do most times. I do actually tend not to put U23 players in this lineup because I have some pretty decent U23 cards. And so like this group right here is what I played in U23. This is like, I mean, it's not like a superstar U23 lineup, but they're pretty good players. And so I kind of try to do those types of lineups. And then I want to put like my best, like non-U23 lineup, non-U23 cards in All-Star Limited. Messi and Neymar, like I bought these guys like well over a year ago. What am I, 8% XP at this point. And so I was like, let me just go for it. And so I went for it. And at one point I was 6th. And I think actually by the time the last player had played, I was in 6th in All-Star Limited. And I was like, all right, well, that's pretty good. And I didn't really have a shot at the podium, but I was close. The bummer about this is that Enzo is the only card that I sort of hesitated on. Like Ter Stegen, I was going to do Barcelona home against Cadiz, I think that is. I always play Kim Min-jae. Guy is an absolute beast. Napoli win 2-0 at is that Sassuolo? Yeah. Messi and Neymar have that banger game against Lille that it feels like every content creator in Europe went to. And so anyone who was there, I'm like, I know it was like Stish and Harry and Josh Forth was there, Simply Alex, Haber, like you're just like everyone seemed to be there. Everybody's got a vlog and I'm extremely jealous. Go check out all their videos. They're all really entertaining. So shout out to them for that. And for Messi getting on the score sheet late to help this lineup out. But like I said, 24th place, 455 points. And I had this fairly good lineup. But I knew that I had a Seamus Coleman 86, which was basically Kim and Jay's score. I needed to have basically a midfielder to replace Enzo because I'm not going to replace one of Messi and Neymar most likely. And so I had Nacho Fernandez at 81, current River Plate, possibly replacing the old River Plate guy in the lineup. But the one that hurt the most was I had Pedro Gonçalves at 100. And that's a card that I really came close to playing in that lineup. Like it was basically between Enzo and Gonçalves. And I just went like back and forth. I basically played Gonçalves here because of Adon and Coates. And I was like, there's really not that much correlation other than the fact that they play for the same team. And as you can see, like Pote dropped 100 and the other guys were below 44 because they conceded twice. And so it was kind of a bummer. And I actually did I not even play this other one? So I also have a Jonas Hoffman limited card. As you may have noticed earlier, I played the Jonas Hoffman rare here in a throwaway All-Star Rare Pro. One of these like throwaway, but like I still kind of wanted it. I mean, I obviously wanted it to win something. And then Higashiguchi, surprisingly, on the bench as Kositani starts ahead of him. And that was, I assume, the first game of the game week. So I was like, oh, this lineup's dead. Hoffman at home to Bayern, like Jonas Hoffman's kind of this weird player. And I can look at the stats, but I almost don't want to look in case I'm wrong. But it feels like the kind of player that, so his floor isn't that high for somebody that like plays his position and the role that he has in his team, and he's on set pieces and whatnot. But also it feels like he has huge scores against good teams. But like you're not going to line him up in your best lineup when he's against Bayern, whether he's home or not. And so it was just not there. But the fact that I had Pote also, now obviously my best lineup is not going to have, like, knowing that I have 200s there. My best lineup is not going to have Enzo and it's not going to have Messi. And so at that point, like, I'm probably not playing that lineup. Like, I'm always playing Messi. Like, I refuse to like live in a world where I have a Lionel Messi card and I'm like, I'm going to play something else. So what I'm going to do is basically see the 1v1 that I had, which is essentially like what would have happened if, maybe we should do it the other way. Maybe I'll go full optimal or full highest score and then see what happened. And Mike Basson is telling me that Gladbach basically just own Bayern and that I should always play Hoffman against them. Where was that last week, Mike? I need that before the game week. All right, let's just do the highest for now, and we'll see if I would have won, and then we can get the real like painful, like what happens if I just played Gonçalves instead of Enzo. Or in case anybody didn't notice, that our concept builder now includes cap 220 and 270. I think we had just had 240 for a while. For those of you who are new, I pretty much just check Global All-Star. I don't really want to take the time to figure out if the cap hits and everyone fits under. And so it's just essentially for Global All-Star. So I would assume Ter Stegen was my highest scoring goalkeeper, but we can check that anyway. Actually, let's go to the Game Week Center. So there are a bunch of different ways you can see your players, how they did in the game week. You see it on your SO5 results page in your players. Now, again, I've removed my comments from here, so it's actually going to be everyone here is somebody that I did have. We don't have the scarcity shown here. I know that the cards are, and obviously we still have some legends here, which I'm not going to count legends since you can't play them in All-Star. But if you just go to the Game Week Center, and then I'm going back to last weekend, and you hit players, these are all the players in the game week that actually this does still show commons. These are old commons. Bummer. Anyway. So we know that Gonçalves and Hoffman were in. And so we can just throw them right in, because anytime you have 200s, that is better than just 100. In case you guys, I mean, I know you guys come here for that. Yeah, I probably shouldn't have given that away, but let's just keep that between us. The more hundreds that you have, the better. Okay, anyway. So no more midfielders. I didn't have anyone else that scored 100 anyway, so we can move on from there. Tadic, I do not have as a limited, which is actually kind of funny that so when I was looking at this lineup, and actually it might even come up later, but basically I was talking to my son about this all-star limited lineup. But previously I talked about how I think, and this is like the whaliest comment, so I apologize for that, but a Tadic limited card would actually work really well in my gallery. God, I feel like Sean saying something like that. Anyway, and then I had this, then at one point I was in 6th place and I was like, wow, could I win Tadic in 6th? And it was like, he's probably lower in the pool. And I was like 11th at one point, and I was like, maybe he's, or no, I wasn't 11th. He was 11th in the pool. So theoretically 6th place could win it. And then I ended up finishing 24th. So there was no way I was getting it. But anyway, I don't have a Tadic limited card, and so I can't count him, but I do have Neymar. So we'll add Neymar in there. All right, so now we have defender and goalkeeper, which again, I assume the defender, yep, is Kim Min-jae at 86. As my phone beeps. Kim Min-jae. And then I can't imagine I had a goalie score more than Ter Stegen. I did not. Okay, these are limiteds. Shout out to the Silver Fox, by the way. All right, Ter Stegen. Okay, so here's what we have. Ter Stegen, Kim Min-jae, Gonzalez, Neymar, and Hoffman. Now again, excuse me, I have a Messi. I would never make this lineup. I would make this lineup with Messi, which I almost did. Again, like Ter Stegen, Kim Min-jae, Neymar. So I had 3/5 of it. I was definitely going to play Messi. We'll get into what happens if basically I turn Hoffman into Messi, where I finish. But we're at 484 right now, and I haven't put in any XP yet. So let's see where 484 an All-Star Limited would have gotten me. Second, without XP. Oh, man. So I have some pretty good XP on these cards. Let's see. Neymar is 8%. Oh, actually, maybe it's counting the... And then Neymar, Kim Min-jae is 10 because he's still a current season card. Stegen is 7. That's surprisingly low. I must have gotten him late. In Salvez, I have like it's got to be 8.5 or 9. 8.5. And Hoffman, who I didn't even play, like I was going to say like a clown, but that, I mean, you can't clown me for this. Also, if anyone notices, I have the 1 of 100 Hoffman rare and then a jersey mint limited. And you guys say these things aren't collectibles. Unbelievable. Anyway, 7.5. And then as who just pointed it out? Here we go. We got a Captain Pedro. We could also Captain Jonas Hoffman, but let's give it to Gonçalves. Captain. Wow, 518. Come on, there we go. 518 points. I have never scored 500 points on Sorare. Obviously, 518 points, I win this by 22. Like, that is crazy. So if we go to the rewards and game week 347. Yep, because odds are now weekends, which still bothering me, not going to lie. But anyway, they don't care. There are a lot of rewards that have to load on this page, which is why it takes a little while. Just patience. So All-Star Limited, first place, Joshua Kimmich. Not bad, right? I finished 26th, right? 24th. I won a Xavi Simons. Decent card. To be honest, though, like if you notice the next three, Providel is obviously 2. Worth more than mine? Should I get a swap? Is that swap worthy? Probably not. But again, I was never not going to play Messi, but I was going to play Pote. So if we take Hoffman out and we put in the GOAT, that is not the GOAT. There he is. And let's see. What's the XP I have on that? 8.5 on Messi. $495. That got me there, didn't it? Oh, it didn't. Okay. So I would have finished second. And so Bukayo Saka, one of my favorite players on the planet. And somehow he's ahead of Kevin De Bruyne. That seemed weird to anyone else? And ahead of Verts too? That seems, I don't know. So realistically, I could have won Bukayo Saka. 103 of 1,000. Nice card. I'm an Arsenal supporter, sort of. And I didn't. So that's a bummer. And then otherwise, I would have won Kimmich. So I wasn't that close to Kimmich. I was really damn close to Saka. And I don't know if like Enzo home against Southampton, like I probably shouldn't give myself a hard time on this one. It's like a shocking result from Chelsea. He's been awesome. And so I think realistically, this is the best I was going to do. And that's okay. Right? I mean, it is what it is. I got that Simons card, which is great. Happy to trade it or sell it to anybody who's interested. I'm not giving it away, though, so stop doing that. Mike saying, who would you genuinely have captained? Oh, that's a good point. That's a good point, Mike. Because I definitely would not have captained Pote. Good call. I would have captained Messi because that's just what you do. And 491, it's telling me, which is still like well ahead of second. Yeah, I rarely don't captain Messi. And if I don't captain Messi, I just captain Neymar. And the instances, I can't even think of the instances where I was like, you know what? It's probably a Neymar week because they're both just awesome when they play. Although Messi had like not a great game, like for his standards. Like PSG scored 4 goals. Let's even call it 3 before his. 17 AA, like we're looking at a pretty poor score until he literally bags a free kick to win the game at the end, right in front of the goal where like all of the Sorare people are sitting on the sideline. Like, where's the invite, man? Come on, Dan. I wouldn't have come, but like at least an invite, please. Anyway, so that's the limited stuff. The one I really wanted to get into today was probably All-Star Rare Pro. And the reason for that is because I had some good scoring super rares that I think I could have combined with some good scoring rares, including that Jonas Hoffman, which again, I wasn't playing that card in like an optimal lineup. So All-Star Rare Pro, you know what? I think I actually prioritize All-Star Rare. Wherever I play Tadic is where I prioritize. Like you can tell my priority lineup. And I made this one obviously they had the new ETH rules or ETH reward rules. So I was like, if I can finish in the top, I don't even remember what it is, All-Star 100, I think, then I could get some ETH. And I think there's a really competitive lineup. And amazingly, as I'm about to like go through and see what my All-Star Rare Pro lineup would have been, the reason I did this for All-Star Rare is I didn't think my super rares were competitive enough. Yeah. For an All-Star Rare Pro lineup. So what I probably would have done for All-Star Rare Pro is this Adon, like Adon, I have a Coates super rare. I mean, it basically would have been the exact lineup that I played this midweek, except instead of the Quinones, so it would have been Coates rare, excuse me, Adon rare, Coates super rare, it wouldn't have been, oh yeah, Yari rare, Tadic rare, and then maybe like Curler or probably not Santa Maria. Not one of those guys. It would have been Lubicic. And I looked at it and I was like, I just don't think it's good enough. Like it just didn't feel like, given the lineups that we've seen, I just can't really compete. And which sounds like nuts because it's like I had Tadic and Adon and Kawat. Like these are good players. I get it. Like I'm not here to be like, oh, I don't have any good cards. Like I do. But as you can see here, two of these super rares actually would have been fine. And I think I actually had a different one that was okay. So Usami is currently my favorite player on the planet based off of this score, of which I got nothing out of it. And I have his rare also, which allowed me to get the ETH and a tier 3 rare last week. And so I don't know if I'll go into my lineups for this current weekend. I actually am going to talk about that later because this was the best and the worst lineup building process I've ever experienced this game week. And so I'll get into that in a little bit. So I knew Usami was there and I'm like, man, if I had Usami in All-Star Rare Pro with like the super rares, and then I was like, wait a minute, I have his super rare too. So it starts to get like a little painful. Like this Cap 220 team, I think Durso played on the first day. And so I was like, oh, wow, I got like a clean sheet from my goalie, and like the other guys proved why they're in Cap 220. But let's just get right to the pain. So All-Star Rare Pro, I might be able, I'll go through the, I guess All-Star Super Rare also, because if I actually do have enough super rares that I think were good enough, then maybe I get there. But again, they're not like super cards. So I don't want to like sit here and think that it was easy to win what I had, but it's going to be close, unfortunately. All right. So Usami, I have a super rare of, Enzo. This is, okay. So I have an Enzo Perez. I don't even know where I played that card. It couldn't have possibly been anywhere helpful. So I played him in Champion America Rare Pro. Oh, that's right. Paulo Diaz was like questionable. He was back in training. I saw the picture myself. He looked great and then didn't play. Didn't even get in the squad. And then he was on the bench for their midweek cup game this week. And then there's like rumors he's going to start this week. And I have his super rare also. So I ended up playing him. I guess we'll get into that. I'm not sure if I'm going to be able to deal with that or not. But anyway, so we have Enzo, the original. I don't know why I keep doing that. The original, just Enzo. I have his super rare. Okay. So theoretically, I should be able to fill the rest of this with my highest scoring rares. We know that Jonas Hoffman is one of them because he banged 100, and so did Tadic. Where did I play Tadic again? Oh, right. So you can already tell that this is going to be like really not that fun for me. Oh, wait, I can't play All right, so Tadic had 100. So this is where like the lineup building gets questionable because like obviously I cannot put my my Hoffman rare in here. And I am somebody who is like pretty adamant about pretty adamant about playing 2 super rares in All-Star Rare Pro. So Enzo, what did he score? Enzo Perez scored 85.6, which like just with the super rare bonus puts him above 100 anyway. So I'm probably going to keep that in for now. We can like play around with it a little bit because of depending on what else I have. So I have an Armani rare card. I also have Vargas. So that's 76 and 75. So I'll go with Armani because he scores more. That's also one of my level 20 rare cards. So he's got a full 10% bonus, which is always fun. So I need my highest scoring defender now, which I don't really think I had a great one anyway. As you can tell, I'm like continuously scrolling. Here we go. Melly Muhlenstein. That was my highest scoring rare defender. All right. So this is the lineup. We're at 469 without like the actual XP bonuses. And we'll see what happens. So Tadic is at 6%. Is that all that card is at? Really? I haven't had it super long. So there's that. And Hoffman I don't have in. And who else? Usami, Perez, and Muhlenstein. All right. Melly is at 9%. Had that card for a good amount of time. And Usami super rare. This is kind of a new one. 29.5. Oops, where am I going here? Oh man, this isn't going to be fun. Let me get down to Enzo. 28%. And that's it. And then we'll captain the 100 Tadic. 499. Is that what that says? So 499 points in this one, which seems like it should be pretty competitive. 499, I said. And, oh. I just run away with it. So when I talk about like whether my lineups are competitive or not, it's because I look at lineups like Nanzo's where it's like, oh, Ter Stegen, Messi, Christian Burgess, which is kind of funny, Trezor and Neymar, with Trezor and Burgess super rares. And it's like when you know that those are the types of lineups that people play in All-Star Rare Pro, and you're like, okay, well, I'm going to play Yari Verscharen and a super rare Robert Lubicic. And you're just like, maybe I shouldn't do that. But sometimes you're just dumb and you don't do it. So this is the lineup. I really can't say that I would have ended up here. I just wouldn't have gotten here. I wonder, so my highest scoring defender super rare was, let's see, not that guy. So like Coates wasn't great, obviously. I know it has Santa Maria. Seco was terrible. Santa Maria at 52. So I'm thinking like if I played Santa Maria there and then Hoffman, like Santa Maria and Hoffman. But like, again, I'm not playing Hoffman in my best lineup and then against Bayern. Like, it's not happening. Rito is saying, look at the fourth place. It's probably worse than yours. Oh, Bizot, Marnon Bush. If you told me, if there was a game where you were like, tell me if this is a real club or not, and you were like FC Heidenheim 1846, I'd be like it sounds like one of those German clubs, but like I would guess it's not real. Tigres, Enzo captain, and Shuto Machino. I actually won that card once, Shuto Machino. Enzo captain, that's amazing. I love that. I love that. So yeah, congrats, Enzo, on your podium. So yeah, so again, I would have been first place, which first in All-Star Rare Pro can be really good. And I'll be honest, I cheated on this one. So I know what the first place prize is. Erling Haaland. Like, that would have been so cool to win that card. Now, again, I'm probably not making this lineup. Like, I'm not looking, although Muhlenstein has been very good recently. He moved up more into like the defensive midfield. He's usually center back. So like, maybe I would have played him. Where did so I made this one. Did I put Armani in that? Where did that America lineup go? There it is. So like I played Armani and Enzo together. Like I did that, but then I wasn't going to end up with Usami. So yeah, I would have won. This is Mike Basson. This is a few minutes ago. So in short, yeah, I could have won everything. At least All-Star Rare, Pro, and All-Star Limited. However, if I threw out the super rares and we just played All-Star Rare, so we know we have Tadic, and I'm going to include Hoffman now just because you always play him against Bayern. Everyone knows that. And I had Usami rare as well. So now an Armani in the back, or in goal, excuse me. And then my highest scoring defender we knew was Muhlenstein. So if we do this, and I got to put my XP back in. Tadic was 6. I don't know what Hoffman was. Usami is 7.5. Usami is a card that I bought before last season began, and he tore his Achilles almost immediately. That was like a classic, like, boy, Laird really killed that one. What did I say Muhlenstein had? 9. Oh, that's nice. And then I need Hoffman. I like this Hoffman card too because it's a Germany one, which, is a little different. Did I not even, where did I put him? All-Star Rare Pro, right? So the funny thing is, like, you would think I was good at this game because I was like, yeah, I put 100 in my All-Star Rare Pro lineup. That's good. But, yeah. 8.5. And let's just give Hoffman the captain's armband just for fun. 479. Which, again, like, it's funny, when I was making my lineups this week, I was like, man, I don't really have that many good rare defenders. And it's just not fun looking for them either. All right, so 479 in All-Star Rare. 479 would have finished me second. Like this lineup, all rares, finishes second in All-Star Rare Pro. I'm actually somebody who thinks they should require 2 super rares in All-Star Rare Pro. Excuse me, or at the very least 1. Like it's not a progressive tournament that way. If you could just throw in your rares, that's not the point of like a progressive contest. But 479 in All-Star Rare wins the whole thing by 30. 35. That is wild. I was not expecting that. Wow. I mean, I guess I should have, because I knew what the All-Star Rare Pro contests were, or lineups were. But that is very surprising. That is surprising. Adon, just to rub it in. Adon and Tadic, 2 of my rare cards there. Doki, Gonsalves, and Veerman. What a lineup for All-Star Rare. Who's this guy? Oh, yeah. That was a good one. And then Rio Captain. That's fun. So who won? Who would All-Star Rare get? Kevin De Bruyne. Also a good card. But again, I couldn't have won Haaland and De Bruyne. But what happens? So let's say I play all of those guys in All-Star Rare Pro. So it was Armani, Meulenstein, Enzo Perez, Super Rare, Tadic Rare, and Usami Super Rare. So let's take out the cards I would have used in that one. So it's these 3. So the only ones that I didn't use there were Hoffman and Usami. And Usami, let me put over in. And let's see if I could have swept 3 All-Star competitions. Whoops. There we go. Because that is really what we want to do here. Isco said, had I played my America lineup in All-Star, I would have won that KDB. In the end, I won an Armani. So, Isco, did you have Isco, what do you go by on Sorare? Because I want to look up your lineups. I actually don't even want to find out if you had others from you. Because that's, like, we could do that all the time. Like, but like, actually putting your best lineups where you should put them is different than doing it. Isco Pib. So I hope you don't mind this, that I'm doing this, but I'm also not going to stop doing it. All right. So Cap 240, get Champion America Rare. This is the lineup. 464-15. Landslide. Wow, that is a lineup. Do you have an All-Star? Oh, you didn't even play All-Star. Oh. So I'm guessing that the thought process here is that there are like more people who play All-Star, more competitive lineups that you have to beat. And so it's like easier to win a reward. But, and this doesn't help you now, of course, but we're at a point in the season where like the America prize pool is really light, and like you want to give yourself the opportunity that like if everyone goes off, I want the upside of Kevin De Bruyne. And Isco saying I was having a shitty couple of game weeks and wanted to win a reward, so I didn't enter it in Global All-Star. Like I get that. I totally get that. But I don't think I get that. I've done it myself. You just want to win something. And you did. You won Franco Armani, who is an awesome card, and hopefully turns into like a ton of rewards. And so there's that. It's not what I do. I try to put my best lineups into All-Star, particularly now with the ETH payouts to a certain spot, which I realize is what more people are doing. So you're going to find more competitive lineups there. And I'm all about like trying to find the weakest people that you can compete against. So it happens. That's a great lineup, though. Congratulations on that. Congrats on your Armani. Welcome to the River Plate fam. It's always fun. So, all right, back to this here. So I need another goalie, which I knew I had Camilo Vargas, who was really close to. Vargas was close to Armani, 75.3. I believe he had a penalty save, which is why he gave up a goal, but still got the penalty save. So thank you. Camilo Vargas. Oh, not a forward. Okay, so I need my second highest scoring midfielder. There we go. Should I just do it here? Players, defender. These are all limiteds or commons. Muhlenstein, Santa Maria is a super rare. K-Mac. So like 49.4. And I actually think I played him with Armani. But like 49.4 is not likely to getting me great reward. Like we're only at 358 right now. But anyway, I can do my next highest scoring. Isco's saying they love River Plate. Not only am I a fan, but they also helped me win Global All-Star D5 limited for the new ones in Gameweek 261 with 500 points. Woo! That's fun. I don't 261. Let's see this lineup. Always love a good 500 pointer. 513. Armani, Martinez, De La Cruz, Enzo, and Benedetto. Oh, not a full one. Look at all those decisive. That's awesome. Congratulations on that too. What did you win with that one? All-Star Limited. You were at the game. That's amazing. That is, oh man, I love hearing stuff like that. Just love it. Oh, and ends go somewhere else. Anyway, sorry. I get very distracted here. So where are we here? We need my highest scoring rare card that's not Jonas Hoffman and is not Usami and is not, I don't have an Enzo rare, which feels, that Enzo card that I like, super rare I have it's a weird card to have because it's like, well, he's obviously smashing now, but like the rare doesn't feel good enough for real rare, for like upper tier rare like prizes, which I compete for and rarely win. But his L15 is also really high because he's like such a consistent scorer. Like he used to be like the perfect threshold player. Like he's just always kind of around these like light green to dark greens, and he's just been smashing his face off recently, which is you just love to see it with Enzo. Anyway. So if anybody here from Sorare is watching, I still would really like that goalie card. Okay. Nacho I have as a limited. I really wish I had a rare. That's a limited. Lubicic. Oh my gosh, it's Luis Urruti. Of course, we would end up with somebody from Peru in a match that didn't have actual scoring in it. Okay, 433 should be okay. I'm not gonna win too much here, but let's throw our XP in while we're here. So, yeah, see, I keep going back to like the Hoffman thing. Like I mean, I guess I would have played Hoffman. Like theoretically, this is my third best lineup, right? Because I have, second best lineup. I have the Rare Pro lineup where I put all my best cards. And so the reasonableness of this group, this is actually a reasonable group. So Rudy is 6.5. I have this card. I won this card actually as a tier 1, and he tore his Achilles like a week later. And that's kind of a tough injury to come back from. So Vargas is at 7.5%. McAllister's actually pretty high because that's a current season card. Yeah, 13.5. Just laughing at Armani being capped out at 10. Hoffman was 8.5. Usami 6. Is that right on Usami? I don't remember. Sounds right. Oh no, 7.5. Shortchanging myself here. All right, so 7.5. We'll apply the power. It gets up to 434, which doesn't seem like enough, but we got to give it to Hoffman because he scored 100. 436. Raf saying congrats on a great game week. I mean, it could have been a great one for sure. 436 in All-Star Rare. 436 in All-Star Rare in game week 347. What'd I say? I forget numbers so quickly. 436. So I'll let Matt Coach have 5th place, and I'll take 6th. So 6th place in All-Star Rare is Walter Benitez, which, not going to lie, I probably would have been pissed. Like, in fact, this player pool is awful. Yikes. What is Ben Wilson for 15th? Who's he play for? Imagine finishing 15th in All-Star Rare, where there are thousands of lineups, and winning that guy. No offense to Ben Wilson, but like, oh, sorry, I forgot to make myself small again. So I frankly should just, or I guess I wasn't going to win De Bruyne because I needed these other cards. But it could have been a week where I won Erling Haaland Rare from All-Star Rare Pro, Walter Benitez Rare from All-Star Rare, using completely different cards. And what did I say was All-Star Limited? Kimmich? Or was that De Bruyne? Kimmich. And realistically, Saka. But not both. So that is the first time we've done this. Like, it's taken 3 shows, and I would have finished first in 2 separate competitions had I put these cards together. Now, again, that All-Star Rare Pro lineup, I wasn't making that lineup. Oh, wait, did I count Hoffman twice? Was Hoffman in that All-Star Rare Pro lineup? I can't even remember now. No, he wasn't. Not the Rare Pro lineup. Because I had Enzo. Okay. So is what it is. This lineup here is reasonable, I think, based on the fact that I would have put like my better rares in Rare Pro. And I don't think there's anyone. João Felix is probably one I would have played in All-Star. If I really made All-Star my second best lineup, I'd probably play him there. And I'd probably play Coates too, instead of McAllister. Because I really thought that Sporting had a good matchup there. And so realistically, this is Coates and Arudi, or even if I believed in Usami, Arudi, I'd probably play João Felix over Usami, to be honest. I mean, home against Southampton is like exactly the card, the matchup you want for your card. So I don't know, but like 392 now, 392 pushes us up, 392 is, it's like crazy how close all of these are. I'll even take the bottom 392. So 95th. That's like how far down the list we have to go before you get to where was that? Tier 2, Lee Seung-woo. I don't know who that is. Some K-League forward or midfielder who is fine. That's actually better than I expected. Not bad. But yeah, so there's that. So I'm going to go, how long have we been here? 55 minutes. I don't want to take up too much more time. And so you want to say last episode on SorareData, we saw I could have won 3 podiums. Join me this week to find out which names I add to my could have been list. I probably should keep track of like all of the cards I would have won. And that would have been fun. But I knew the Hallen one. Like I didn't know, but I was pretty sure I could have gotten first in Rare Pro with the right combination. And winning Erling Hallen in any scarcity is really fun. So there's that. But I want to talk just kind of very briefly about the lineup process for this week because this was really complicated for me. I was like excited for Gameweek 349 for like months because I have a bunch of MLS cards and I wanted to finally be able to use them all. And I legitimately got like overwhelmed by how many decisions I had to make and what to prioritize. And I was concerned I was making all the wrong choices. And then it was like, I finally got through like my first 3 or 4 and I'm like, all right, these are like the good ones. And I had so many cards left. And I was like, I've got plenty of like throwaway lineups, don't get me wrong. But it was just like, there were instances where I just didn't want to not use cards. And then it was like, I need to put this here and this here. And it just wasn't all that. I realize this is a lot of lineups. Like, don't get me wrong. And I realize like a lot of people don't have this many. And so this is very whaley problem, despite not considering myself a whale at all. But I just didn't know what to do. And it was just so many cards. And I really only ended up with like 3 lineups I felt good about. And I have 23 lineups this week. That includes like the 4 amateur league ones. So we'll call it 19. And I have a few throwaways, but like there are a lot of lineups on this page, some of which were just like, oh, I can make a lineup. So I'll just do that. It's kind of like these U23 lineups. Like I'm not expecting anything out of these. And so, yeah. I do build my common lineups on some of them I do. Yes, I build my common lineups on. Part of the reason I do that is to make sure that I have the right ones because I played. Do I have it here? I played Lionel Messi in Cap 220 Limited, and it was like, well, I need to make sure Messi's still in my French league team. To be honest, my son usually makes these lineups for me, but we never got around to having him do it this week, so I had to do them. So when they crash and burn, it's because I did them and not my son. But anyway, so like I had a lot of goalies. There were definitely, I'm fairly certain that I didn't end up even using Camilo Vargas rare card, which was in my potential 6th place finishing all-star rare lineup last week. Let me see. They're all in here now. Maybe actually I might have thrown him in right at the end. Where is that? There he is. That's right. I didn't even have a Champion America lineup. Like I have a ton of MLS cards and Liga MX cards and River Plate, other Argentina cards. And I went to submit my lineups this morning and I was like, wow, didn't even put in a Champion America rare lineup. And this one's dead anyway because Panchito has a torn ACL. And Durkin's probably not starting. And he's Chris Durkin. But there was this like feeling of like being overwhelmed. And I actually had this thought, like, if I keep feeling like this every week where I'm just like, there's so many cards and so many decisions, and it was kind of not fun. And I said this last week. I think I said it on here and not somewhere else, but I had to like mentally change how I was thinking, where I was like, this is it. It wasn't feeling like work, but it was just like something I had to get through. Like, oh man, and I like was feeling this like pressure to get it right, and I'm like, what am I doing? Like, I'm playing fantasy football with a bunch of JPEGs. Like, settle down. And I realized that they're like worth money, and if they went to zero, I would be crushed. If they went to zero, I'd probably be out of a job too, so that would be equally just as bad. But actually, that's probably worse. But I'm hoping that goes away. There are also some like I had a few injuries or potential like rest guys who are going to be rested, and that kind of like put a little more like craziness into it. The one that pops into my mind is Emmanuel Reynoso from Minnesota, who was supposed to be like one of my better MLS rare cards this season, and he's not playing right now. So to go back to like the Usami thing, this is my best lineup. I made this lineup first. I've been waiting to play Carlos Gil and Dusan Tadic together for months. Feels like years. And the Adon Coates combination paid off in midweek, so I fully expect it to crash and burn this weekend, but I'm playing them anyway. And then I won the threshold in Cap 240 Super Rare last week, and with the way that I don't know, I still don't really know like how competitive my lineups are in like All-Star Super Rare. And so getting that ETH is huge for me. And so that was the second lineup I made. Just like, let me make sure I get the ETH. I don't even care about winning a card. I mean, it would be nice, but like it's the priority is get to 250 points. And I just got there last week. And then I started feeling like, man, and again, apologies for like the whaley talk, but I have like a lot of super rares. None of them are like great, but I have a lot of them. And I don't have a lot of goalies because they're goalies. And so it was like, where do I fit the ones that I really want to play? And I was actually going to play Rusnak in my All-Star Rare Pro lineup in this lineup. But Usami has been so good. He's got a good matchup this week that I was like, let me just play that. I have a Lehan Bum Super Rare. Oh, in the 240. I was going to play with Osmar to low L15. I had this Guzan. I have two Guzans, one rare, one super rare, that have an L10 of 0. It felt weird to use like a cheat code, not where they're actually cheat codes. I almost played Guzan in like All-Star Super Rare. Like I legitimately considered doing that because I was like, he actually has a good matchup this week. Like if his if his L15 was 55, like I would have put him in All-Star Super and gone for that. But I didn't. And then that lineup became just the throwaway. Nishikawa, Santa Maria, Bradley, Quinones, and Acosta. Like that lineup is such a throwaway that I captained Michael Bradley. Shout out to Andy Black. But I don't know. There are some I'm actually trusting Jonas Hoffman this week, at least in that one. I do have him an All-Star Rare. I kind of like this lineup too. Techers has said he's here for the K-League Timber chat. Techers had a really good video himself yesterday or the day before about his lineup building process and how he was prioritizing Champion America Rare Pro, which I didn't make my top lineup, but it was like what do I do with my best America super rares, which looking back, had I known about Paulo Diaz, like for sure start, like if Paulo Diaz I knew was for sure starting. And I think there's some question that like Enzo Perez could be rested because they're overwhelming favorites this week. They had a midweek cup match, which he played in. Had I had no doubt that they were starting, I actually may have played them here in All-Star Rare Pro. So it would have been Armani, Paulo Diaz Super Rare, and then these three. But otherwise, I was definitely playing them here, which would have been Armani, Paulo Diaz Super Rare, Enzo Perez Super Rare, Bernardeschi, and then probably Luis Araujo maybe. Or I would have loved it to be Reynoso, but it wasn't. I have a Lucas Zelarayan, which is somewhere here, Cap 220, as weird as that sounds, because I had Luis Barraza, who's a 0. Like, I have had like a bunch of people asking me about like all these cheat codes, and it's like, is it really a cheat code if there are 50 of them? And it just felt like there were so many. Everyone's like, hey, does anyone have an L15 of 0 this week that they can think of? And like any Discord you're in, people are just peppering with names and they're all different. And they're just like, oh, okay, well, everyone is going to have one this week. And so like there's no, you're not getting any sort of cap advantage when everyone has an L15 0. Some people playing two, you have like your Guzan Miles Robinson stack with a combined L15 of 0. And so I don't know. So I just went through and I don't think anyone on my teams has played yet. So I'm still optimistic, which is always nice. Oh, wait. I don't know. That's just that it's live. So yeah, I'm not going to go through everything because nobody here really cares about what my lineups are. You're here about what my lineups could have been. And that's what we'll do next week. So thank you to everybody for joining. If you guys haven't hit the like button, if you could please do that, it's really helpful. And, subconsciously makes me want to do them more if more people like enjoy this stuff. If there's anything that I'm not doing in these videos that you'd like me to try, I'm always up for it. So yeah, let's do that. So thank you to everybody. And